making its official debut in any format. I'm going to talk about the LP, but it's also available on CD and digital, is the soundtrack to the 1972 Lee Mendelson Film Productions, Bill Melendez, Charles Schultz, Charlie Brown TV special, You're Not Elected Charlie Brown. This was the 8th Charlie Brown TV special, and I'm loving what Lee Mendelson Film Productions and his sons are doing with these releases of heretofore unreleased Charlie Brown soundtracks, or heretofore unreleased in this level of completeness and quality soundtracks. I was a Charlie Brown fan as a kid. I had the merch. I watched the specials. They were some of the highlights of the television watching year when these things would come on. So to be able to get these soundtracks now is really cool because it puts you in the mind of being a kid and watching those. And beyond that, it's really good music. Vince Guaraldi was like a respected jazz musician. A lot of people like me just are like, that's the guy who did the Charlie Brown music. But he was really respected aside from that. And you can really see what his level of genius brings to these LPs in terms of composing and arranging and performing and all that. So what we have here, I will show you, is this LP. Now the covers, they kill me. I haven't picked up the first couple releases. I know they did Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and they may have done an extended version of the Christmas and or Great Pumpkin soundtracks. I'm coming into this a little late. I came into this whole Lee Mendelson Film Productions with the previous release, which was, it was a short summer Charlie Brown, and that was great. And so I love that the covers are simple. They just use the original art or approximation of it. It looks like things did back then. Got a nice little obi strip, as they would call it for Japanese releases, with information. This is an eco-minded album. So it's just the way it's produced is sustainable, it's renewable, it's recycled, it's all that good stuff. And it's just got this nice little approximation. It looks like a ballot on here, and you can vote Linus Van Pelt or Russell Anderson, who are running for student body president in this release, and it just gives you the points. Okay, I guess they've released one other one. It was the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. I should look at the back before I talk. Back cover, again, track listing. You've got yourself here a whole bunch of tracks and a whole bunch of bonus tracks. It lists the musicians, and it's just like a happy package by itself. So it sounds great. I listened to this yesterday, and from the moment I dropped the needle down, I was like, oh my God, this sounds really good. Like, you really can hear the separation in the instruments in the mix. You can hear it sounds like you're there. A lot of the tracks have a little bit of a count in or a little bit of studio chatter from Vince Guaraldi before the tracks start, and that's really cool. It's not distracting. It's just sort of like a fly on the wall. Oh wow, I've never heard this before. Speaking of which, the deal with these soundtracks, they've never been released legitimately before to the public, but also it's more music than you would have heard in the original special. The original special, they would record the tracks and they would use whatever fit, however the show wound up getting edited. If they wanted to drop the music down, the volume of the music down to hear dialogue or sound effects, it would dip and dive. You never heard the music as recorded until now. So this is very super cool. So it's 16 tracks. It's 9 bonus tracks, which are alternate takes and unused tracks. As was pointed out in the previous releases, as I said, these are the complete tracks. These are more than anybody has ever heard before. Sometimes you get alternate versions from what was on the show. Sometimes you get multiple takes or variations on a theme throughout these. It's got a super smooth, like, cool jazz vibe, but at times it also goes into like Dixieland and kind of funky, which is cool. It's not a terribly long soundtrack, thus the amount of bonus tracks that are on here, but unlike the short summer soundtrack, this is a 33 1/3 LP, so the running time is a bit longer than the last one was. There's a really interesting version of Linus and Lucy, which is the classic, when you think of the Peanuts music or the Charlie Brown music, that piece of music here, it started off on this, and I said out loud, I'm like, this is cool. This is really interesting, and it sounds great. It's recognizably that same song, but a different vibe to it, which I really appreciated. There's a great laid back and funky Joe Cool song that features a vocal by Vince Guaraldi, which, reading the liner notes, was apparently controversial internally at the time, where they're like, we don't know if this guy can sing. He's great on the piano, but I don't know if we want him stepping up to the mic. And it's a very cool vibe that his vocals have they sound like a younger and smoother Bob DeRoe to me, which was interesting. The booklet, I will show you in a second, has an essay by an author who wrote a book on Guaraldi, which really gets into his gigging around San Francisco and the various clubs on the West Coast that he would play, and the various musicians he played with, and how his musical style and instrumentation changed, how he kind of went electric, and ultimately how he brought all that to this soundtrack in this period in his time. And then it's got another essay by Sean Mendelson, who's one of the brothers of Lee Mendelson, who made these things, who's running this record company and doing these releases. And he takes like a really deep dive into the tracks themselves, the instrumentation, the mood, how it's used in the episode. Very fascinating. Makes you want to sit and watch the show after you listen to this. And then, let's see. So, front cover, back cover. Dare I say worth it for the covers, but I love these covers. The record itself, you can see this, is kind of a funny little patriotic vote-y kind of thing. Black vinyl, so nothing fancy or exotic. Sounds great. Looks slick on the turntable. And then the booklet we have, again, I love that they just use the original art. Big. And we get the aforementioned essay, which is not a quick read. It's pretty in-depth. And then that's the Sean Mendelson essay. And then we get the essay by Derek Bang and some really cool imagery from the special, and then some very cool imagery of Vince Guaraldi and the musicians in the studio and like session log sheets and things. This is just so good. Like, I wanted to listen to it all over again right after I played it. I hope they keep doing these. They said that they're hoping to unite a divided nation with this release, and it just might. This just might be what the world needs right now, is the LP, CD, and or digital soundtrack release from Lee Mendelson Film Productions of You're Not Elected Charlie Brown. I totally loved it.